So on slide 5, I would introduce the student to the idea of what they're going to be reading and say, what do you see? And have them talk about the different things in the picture. There's Mrs. Cook and Miss Jane. What are they doing? And this was a little hard for one of my younger students to do. He couldn't figure out what they were doing. And so I held up some pencils and said, 1, 2, 3, 4. What do you think they're doing? And then if we were getting into the point, well, I think they're counting. And then we just talked for a few seconds and I said, okay, let's read about what these teachers are doing. And we moved on to the next page. On page 6, they're actually going to start looking at the reader and read the reader. And in this, I would have them look at the picture and say, what are they doing? They are counting. Yes, very good. Let's read. And then have the student read the text. And as the student's reading the text, I would circle some of the things that are being counted. They have to count the things in the boxes. And so I would circle or underline the word boxes. And so for each of these, I would be underlining those special words. And then there's dictionaries, which is highlighted. And so I would circle the word dictionaries, A-R-I-E-S, and we will talk about that in the next slide. There are 5 dictionaries. They will have to share these. And then ask the student, why would they share the dictionaries? There are only 5. How many erasers are there? There are 10 erasers. How many pencils are there? There are 10 pencils. How many students do you think there are? There are 10 students. Just to give it some extension, if the extension is, if there's time for that, if the student's old enough for that, if they can comprehend that extension. On page 8, there's 3 pictures, and it's pictures of tomatoes, cherries, and leaves. And it starts with 1 tomato. And I would have written on my board the word tomato and say, can you count the tomatoes? And have the student count the tomatoes and read the sentence. There are 6 tomatoes. Tomato, tomatoes. And really not say very much unless I need to, and say, how do I write tomatoes? And have the student come up with ES. And then I would write ES. Good. How many cherries are there? And have the student count. There are 4 cherries. Cherries. And try to have the student figure out that that Y is no longer there. And say, oh, no Y? Oh, bye-bye, Y. Cherries. Oh, I-E-S. Good. Cherries. And then do the same for leaves. Leaf. Leaves. There are 5 leaves. What? No F? Bye-bye, F. Leaves. And then the student will usually say the E-S. Leaves. Great job. Tomatoes. Oh, what do we add? E-S. Good. Cherry. What happened to the Y? Change it to an I-E-S. Oh, very good. And leaf. Change the F to a V. E-S. Good job. And this is something they've learned in the MC classes by this point, but they're really looking at not just taking that tomato and add ES, or change the Y to an I and add ES, but really thinking about, this is something I have to do. Oh, I'm changing that Y. I'm taking it off and I'm adding an IES. So they're trying to come up with that rule for themselves so that they can really understand, and when they see those words in the future, they can really have an idea of what that means, and it becomes a rule of their own. If they own it, when they can tell you the rule, they make it up themselves, then they own that rule. And if they own the rule, if they own the grammar rule, then they can apply it the rest of the way through the rest of this lesson and on into other lessons and other curriculum. So after they've figured out that rule, I would bring in the grammar rule that just slides right in, and probably turn off the student's mouse and do this for them, because they all really loved to move those around. So turn off their mouse and actually pull in the grammar rules myself and have them read those rules, and then pull in each of the rules and show how they figured out that rule for themselves. So on page 9, they're putting to use, they're practicing the grammar rules that they've just learned and they've just discovered. So I would read number 1 or circle number 1 and say potato. 1 potato, and maybe show a potato, and then say 2 potatoes. Which one, A or B? And let the student figure out which one, A or B, and circle B, potatoes. I might say why potatoes, why B, and if they can explain that rule, ES, after an O, then you know they've got it, because they've, again, explained that rule to you. And then do the same with number 2 and 3, and if they've really got it, just speed it up, and 4, 5, and 6 is just doing that same thing, and just let them excitedly circle the correct answers and be like, yeah, I got it. On slide 11, it's an application. They're going to apply this knowledge to what they've learned, to actually putting these words into the text. So they'll read sentence 1, and there's a picture on the side, so to give them some context for the sentence, they understand that sentence a little better. And if they don't understand all of the words, you can reference the picture and explain what is going on. The thief cut the candy with their knife, and you would say, how many thieves? 2. The thieves. How do you spell thieves? And if they need a reference, you can have your board ready so that they have that reference and they can remember the rules that they came up with. And have the student type in the chat box or spell with the mouse, 1 or 2 of those words, or even verbally spell it and spell the word on the whiteboard as they spell it out loud. So the student might say, the thieves, how do you spell thieves? And you can spell it on the board for the student. The student can type it in the chat box, or say change the F to the VES and show that they understand the rule, and go through each of those, making sure that they've spelled at least a few of each of these to know that they have the understanding of each of the rules that they've learned. On slide 21, the student is in an extension where they're going to put this to use. And I would circle the picture of the first picture, the jam. And I might tell them that it is jam, or say, what is this? And see if they can say that it is jam. And then have the student read, I don't like strawberry jams, jam, a jam. And if the student circles jam, I might say, no S, look, is it a lot of jam? And find out if they can say why there's no S, because you can't count jam. It's an uncountable noun, which is a word that they have learned and a definition that they have figured out for themselves. And then circle number 2, juice, and have the student read the sentence, juice, good for health. And have the student circle the correct answer. And I would ask the student each time, why did you choose this answer? Juice is good for health. Because it's uncountable, it counts as 1. If the student said juice are good for health, can you count juice? 1 juice, 2. Can you count all of that juice in the cup? Uncountable noun. It's 1. And then help the student remember, oh yes, it's 1, so juice is good for health. And then do the same for number 3.